Hi, Chris Radanovic here from the Lighthouse team, and today I'm going to take you through the in-app mobile messaging product overview. As we gain momentum in interest and deploying projects in mobile messaging in the app using the LivePerson SDK, we've learned a lot and we're ready to start to share that knowledge with the field. So we're going to go through a demo of the product. We're going to talk a little bit about what's coming soon on the product roadmap. We're going to go over a deployment overview, talking about the major steps in the process of deploying. And we're going to talk about some considerations and where you can get help if you need it. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we're going to focus on today is a demo of the product. Anthony Kunjbahari was nice enough to put together a wonderful product demo of in-app mobile messaging showing the agent and consumer experience. So let's go through that demo and speak to the value that we see in mobile messaging. The first thing you'll see here is on the left-hand side in an app, a customer clicking the call to action to start a conversation. As they enter their first message, on the right-hand side of the screen, you see the agent window. When the consumer sends the message, the agent is notified via two different alerts, a pop-up and the accept option in the lower left-hand corner, that there's a new conversation that has come in. The agent then clicks on that and is taken into the conversation window. You also see on the left-hand side an SLA set and displayed for the customer based on the default SLA on the account. The agent has the ability to customize this SLA, as you just saw Anthony do, by clicking the clock and choosing a custom SLA. Next, we see predefined content options that are loaded into the LiveEngage to use in the conversation. The agent can send those, and if the customer is not in their app, they receive a push notification that they can tap on that takes them right back into LiveEngage messaging. Customer types their response and sends it to the agent, and the agent then receives a notification that the customer has responded. The SLA is reestablished for the customer or recommunicated to the customer, and the agent can go in and start to work the conversation. Mobile messaging also has the ability to share emojis. So a customer can go into their regular phone keyboard settings and select an emoji and send it, and it is displayed in the LiveEngage window, making it a more conversational conversation as opposed to a transactional. Customer can easily get back into the conversation by clicking the call to action or the message button. The customer also has a few different options. They can mark a conversation as urgent or resolve it. Marking it as urgent resets the SLA to a lower SLA setting, indicating to the agent that there's an urgent conversation. And the connections list, the agent can see all of their open connections and manage them, and they're listed in order of priority. The agent can click on one and see the preview pane, and then open the conversation to resume the conversation with the customer. One of the powerful aspects of messaging is the ability to push notifications to the customer, notifying them that there's a new answer from the agent. As Anthony types the response in, you see on the left-hand side, the customer has closed the app and is now on their home screen. When Anthony sends the message, a push notification is received on the customer device. The customer can tap that and be returned immediately to the conversation window where they can see the message and respond to it. Once again, the SLA is communicated to the consumer so they know how quickly an agent is expected to return. And there are two ways to resolve or close a conversation. The consumer can click the Mark as Resolved option, and the agent can close the conversation from the Actions drop-down menu. Once the conversation is resolved, consumer sees a survey that they can answer and submit, and then once they do so, they see a notification in the messaging window of a resolved conversation. When a conversation is resolved, an agent can click the Resolved option in the right-hand corner and see the resolved conversations and open that conversation to view it. Also, the CSAT score of the consumer is sent into the updated in real time at the conversation and data bar level. So that's a quick demonstration of the capabilities of the in-app messaging SDK. Thank you, Anthony, for creating that demo for us. The next thing I'd like to speak about is very briefly the upcoming features. We have a lot of new features that are coming soon for in-app mobile messaging, and they can all be found on the product roadmap. We have consolidated them or compiled them into one document here, in-app mobile messaging features coming soon document, which you can click on and open up and review the features that are coming soon. Now let's talk a little bit about the deployment process. We're currently going through the process of training the mobile messaging subject matter experts in the CS field on how to deploy mobile messaging. We've taken the learnings from our first deployments and we've created a messaging deployment process that takes us through several phases, including kickoff, design, code, live engage configuration, testing, launch, and optimization. In the kickoff phase, we want to focus on educating the brand about the value of messaging and aligning the brand on the vision of messaging. The alignment of vision is primarily to make sure that everybody understands the real value and the long-term focus of where messaging will go, specifically around creating a relationship with the customer through an ongoing conversation. We want to call out the very important things like the history, the contact center operations, and introduce them to the SDK. After we finish the kickoff, we get into design activities. We want to make sure that the design is in line with the live person vision of messaging and the brand vision of messaging. We talk about things like the importance of staffing decisions on design, push notifications and authentication, and making sure that the design is in line with the capabilities of the SDK. Once we complete design and we approve design, we can move forward with actual coding of the SDK into the app. At the same time we're doing coding, we can set up and configure LiveEngage to support the messaging program, including provisioning the account, creating the users, defining the SLA settings, and configuring push certificate and authentication settings. Once configuration and code is complete, we can test the in-app mobile messaging implementation following a testing guide that we have created and linked here. Finally, when testing is complete, we're ready to go live. We can release the app to the App Store. We can train the agents, establish a control tower if applicable, and then finally push the app live to the public and start taking messaging conversations. Then within the first few weeks, we can start to optimize the mobile messaging implementation following the guide that we have created and linked here. Let's talk a little bit about some of the considerations that you should be aware of when dealing with in-app mobile messaging deployments. First, it's important to note that only iOS and Android are currently supported. Second, in-app messaging does not use deployment tags, so we do not have visibility into consumer behaviors or browsing patterns. The call to action is always on and always available for consumers and is not displayed based on behavior. So consumers can get in and start a conversation at any time. We do not know where the consumer has been in the app or what activities they have been taking on. Third, surveys are limited to 2 optional questions: satisfaction with the agent and resolution. The brand can choose to show one, both, or neither of these questions in the survey. Engagement attributes are only available with authenticated integration. Non-authenticated deployments can only pass first name, last name, and phone number to the agents through the SDK. It's important to talk about authentication and the value of authentication at kickoff and help the brand make authentication decisions throughout the design phase. Skill routing is also only available with authenticated integration and is based on the engagement attributes. This means that we can route to skill based on customer type, and other customer profile type values or knowledge of the customer. We cannot route based on behavior at this time. Unauthenticated conversations are not assigned to any skill. And finally, on the technical side, LiveEngage only allows one configuration of authentication. There are multiple configurations of the OAuth 2.0 integration, code and implicit. Since LiveEngage can only support one of those, it's important to plan for the longer-term vision of how the brand will use messaging, whether they will have web messaging or in-app messaging, and how they want to use their authentication. Will they authenticate chat conversations as well, or just messaging, to avoid future issues with authenticated integrations? If you need help with your in-app messaging project, there are a couple of places you can go. First, we have the Slack channel, #mobile messaging, which should be your first source for assistance. You can send a message into the Slack channel, and someone from the subject matter expert team or product, if necessary, can reply with the necessary details for your question. Also, you can search and reference historical questions asked about mobile messaging deployments. Second, the Lighthouse team can be contacted if you need additional help with your deployment. The email address is linked here in the presentation. And then finally, the support team is trained on the mobile messaging solution. So if you encounter issues, you can raise those via the usual support channels. I hope that this overview of the in-app mobile messaging product has been beneficial. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out via one of these channels. Thank you.